All right.
Yes, sir.
Thanksgiving. I know y'all had a blast. I know I did. I ate a lot of food. I always enjoy participating in gluttony.
Day a year.
That's all we
One
do
day
is
a year.
shovel as much food as possible into our systems. But the best part is, and I guess Trayvon Diggs' son says it best. I love Thanksgiving because it's family, food, and football. And that's what we're here for,
main Fs.
is to talk the main games on that. So let's jump right into the first one. We had the Bears and the Lions. This was the appetizer game, typically the one that no one eats and people rarely watch, specifically because it's the appetizer and it's kind of questionable. It's not hors d'oeuvres. It's a questionable appetizer. Depending on who you are, depending on what you believe, you'll either eat it or you won't. But this game was, it was in traditional Bears and Lions fashion. Both quarterbacks was hurt, so they had to have backup quarterbacks, which how does that happen every time? And the Bears decide to become victorious 16-14. So guys, I got a question for you. Before you talk about the game itself, start with you, Ross. Will Dan Campbell win a game?
God, I hope so, man. It sucks because this dude came out beginning of the year talking about biting off kneecaps, and I might be old school. He's a little bit of an old school guy, and I love a coach like that. He's absolutely, you might not see the results on the record, at least not yet, not in the standings, but you can tell that this Lions team from last year to this year, it's a different team. From Matt Patricia, it's a different team. They play with a little bit more edge, and I think they actually have a coach that they genuinely want to play for. Now, it's not like some Jim Caldwell, some Schwartz action going on, if you really want to throw it back. I like Dan Campbell, man. And he still has a chance to win the game. They have their two most winnable games on the remainder of the season are against the Broncos, who, even though I'm a fan of, man, they suck and I never know what to expect from them. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who are just not a good football team. I don't even know how the hell they got the 4 wins so far this year. So,
yeah,
they'll beat the Falcons. I'm going Lions over Falcons, and because I really hope so. Because hey, if Dan Campbell goes 16-1 in his first year, obviously there's a good chance he might just be fired off the bat. And I want Dan Campbell to be successful. I want this kind of coach to be successful because you can see how bad he wants it. Even how bad their players. They're not playing like a defeated team, man. They're playing to win that game. It's clear. It's just you got Jared Goff as a quarterback, and he can't win without McVay, I guess, man. And they almost had it late in the game. But then again, there were more penalty yards in the Raiders-Cowboys game than the total offensive yards for the Lions.
Okay, Luis, that's a great nugget there, Ross. But Luis, what
Wow.
you think Dan Campbell's going to get a dub?
Yes. I actually highlight the same game. I have their Week 16 game against Atlanta being most likely the game. I had a similar feeling like the Denver game. There could be a chance, but Ross, I really like you guys' defense, regardless of moving on Von Miller or not. Y'all got a pretty good defense. I like Surtain. I like Bridgewater, don't get me wrong. Y'all got some good offensive weapons, so I think y'all be able to handle them. It's really that Atlanta game, because Atlanta's just, some people had them in the playoffs. Some people thought they should have picked a quarterback. Yeah, a wild card at least on the lower end.
Atlanta's Atlanta.
Yeah. People were thinking maybe they should have got a quarterback, shouldn't have went with Kyle Pitts, and this team's really dysfunctional right now. I don't have no hope. It is a nice team, Campbell. I like T.J. Hawkinson, and I like Swift has come on big this year. But man, this team's just not right. Not right. I think the teaser game with the Steelers was like the worst because they were like so close. But they do have, let me see, I wrote it down here, 4 losses by 3 points or less, plus a tie.
That's actually pretty good.
So
3 by 3.
Yeah, like they're a very competitive
kind of like Ross
game.
mentioned. Like Ross mentioned, that means that they are in games and they are playing a lot better than they have in years past. The big difference to me this year to last year is Matt Stafford. I'm just going to keep it honest. That's the biggest difference is the quarterback play, and Dan Campbell did call out Jared Goff, which I thought was a little too much. You shouldn't be calling your quarterback out in the media like that, even though we know Jared Goff has been not that great in general. You're probably a better approach to try to at least uplift him. He's calling him out like that, but yeah, I want them to win that Falcons game. I don't think they're gonna win it. I think even as cursed as the Falcons are, they're not. And Ross, you brought up a good point. To me, I feel like the Lions are cursed, and they're going to remain cursed for a while. Why? Because they fired Jim Caldwell. Caldwell had them on 3 winning seasons out of the 4 years he was there. He went to the playoffs because of him, and they fired him 9-7. Why? They said it wasn't good enough. But what have you been since, guys?
Go back.
I understand old man Caldwell wasn't the greatest coach, but guess what he was doing? He was winning games. Like, you can't complain about that, right? You've actually got chances to make the playoffs because of that guy. Why would you get rid of that opportunity? And to me, they're cursed because of that. So
they're cursed.
Good job, Lions.
But they're cursed because they screwed over Calvin Johnson, and they will be cursed until they pay him what he's owed.
That's number 2.
That's number 2. We can keep on coming with more curse for Lions. But hey, last point with the Lions. They should have already won the game, but they lost it because Justin Tucker set an NFL record.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was in Lions. That's like Lion-esque the way they took the L. So, all right, I want to talk about the Bears, but I really don't. It's kind of they're a moot point at this point of the season. Nagy should be fired eventually. Let's jump into the next game. Of course, the game of the day for everybody, the one that America cared about, because over 38 million people watched this game. They set a record for most people watch in a regular season game, I think, since like the 90s or whatnot. Cowboys Raiders in Dallas. I watched a large chunk of this game. This was, of course, feeding time, last prep of food, nap in between the second plate time. So I hate that they put them at this point because it's the hardest moment for all of us on a holiday like Thanksgiving. But Dallas just did all the things that we expected Dallas to do, and they took a massive L. So, Luis, we'll start with you on this one. Are the Cowboys in trouble?
They are in deep trouble going forward. They got 2 more matchups against the Washington football team, who I actually think are going to start trending in the right direction. I think that defense is going to be all right. I believe they still got a game against the Giants. The Eagles are coming on strong right now. Jalen Hurts is doing his thing, and I do believe they play the Saints and Arizona one more time. So they don't got a lot of easy games left. They're going to play against some tough defenses, with the exception of maybe the Giants game, but who knows with the Giants, because they seem to want to perform some weeks, and then other weeks they're just tragedy. But they're in trouble right now, especially if Cooper has any sort of vaccination problem come playoff time. That could be huge. They obviously miss CD, and obviously the Diggs buying in all the picks. The defense is starting to slow down a little bit. Teams are starting to move the ball on them just a little bit. The Raiders were just doing whatever, and the Raiders just lost that game off penalties, though. Cowboys continue to rack up penalties, their fair share throughout the entire season. But they're in trouble. They got to figure this out because it looked like this was Super Bowl team. Like they were bound for the Super Bowl. Now it's looking like y'all are at risk of losing maybe 7 of your last 10 games. I mean, it's not looking so great. You're off to it. They're back to being the Cowboys. Like the Lions, the Cowboys right now.
Good point. Ross, what you think? Cowboys in trouble?
Absolutely. Like Luis, you're on the money with this. You have had games where you got blown out by the Denver Broncos. It was 30-0 at one point, and you scored 16 garbage time points. That doesn't mean anything to me. You beat up on the bad Falcons team. Well, you showed good offense, so congrats on that one. You couldn't score a touchdown against the Chiefs, and then you lose to the Raiders at home in a game that you should have won. You were trailing way too often in this game, and their offense can win you games, sure. Most of the time their offense is good enough. The only problem is Dak Prescott is obviously having a great season, but the real 2 players that are carrying this offense is Tony Pollard and Zach Martin. Those guys have been unreal this year. Tony Pollard is going forward. I'd much rather have him than Zeke Elliott on my team. That's for sure, because Tony Pollard is trending in the right direction.
Ooh.
Zeke's yards per carry have been in game, in attempt, anything with yardage has been on the decline the last 4 seasons now. I don't like that.
That's true.
I don't like that. Also, I mean, Pollard with that 100-yard kickoff return. Oh, talk about waking you up.
Needed some excitement, baby.
Man. Straight up.
That was the excitement you needed.
That was, and then they go and lose it. And the biggest worry here is I think their season and the divisional crown comes down to week 18. And I will give a little bit of a hint of my take coming up in the future segment here. They play the Eagles in Philadelphia. That game wins the NFC East.
Okay. I'm there with you. So yeah, you're both spot on with it. The Cowboys, I am concerned. They are 7-4, which of course sounds good and all, but until you, like you mentioned, you go back and look at the games and who they play. Like you mentioned, they've lost 3 of their last 4 with the Falcons sandwiched in the middle. And I mentioned this on our last Monday episode that they're the Falcons. Am I supposed to be excited that they beat a team that they were supposed to beat? Like everybody hell, last year the Falcons gave them a game by watching an onside kick. The incompetence is guaranteed when it comes to the Falcons. So there's no reason for me to be excited about any performance at any team does against the Atlanta Falcons. But looking at the rest of the games, I mean, they start the season off strong. That bye week got them because Dak, of course, was hurt. They're beat up. And I am very much concerned about what they're going to look like you mentioned. They got the Saints on Thursday night. So they get a week. They got the Saints on Thursday. They won't have Lamb that game, I believe. Cooper should be back that game, potentially. We'll see. But then two of 3 games, well, actually 3 straight NFC East games, with 2 of them being Washington, 1 of them being the Giants. Then you got technically the number 1 team in the NFC, the Cardinals, followed by the Eagles. I don't see Dallas putting it together. It's just their problem to me is they start every game slow. They're starting off in a deficit a little too often, and that is a problem. The defense is still top 5 DVOA ratings right now. So overall their defense is good, but they like to bait teams into doing stuff, and that's kind of where that Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown combo is good and bad. They're a feast or famine. They live and die from the interception. And they also lead the league in the most yards given up in coverage. They're both number 1 and 2 right now per Pro Football Focus. So they give up a ton of yards while at the same time getting a ton of turnovers. And that eventually is going to get you killed in a league where quarterbacks get smarter as you get into the playoffs.
The only sustainable part of that defense is defensive rookie of the year, kind of already, Micah Parsons, because that guy is
Micah Parsons
a freak.
Is obscene.
He's so good.
I don't know what to say besides it's like that Tom Brady graphic they had last week. He's good. That's
is it? I mean, what else do you say?
You can't.
He's good.
He can do everything. He can do everything, man. Micah Parsons is fantastic. And to your point about Trayvon Diggs is that, yeah, he can get maybe an interception game, but if he doesn't, either he's getting turnovers or he's getting cooked like a damn turkey. And just like the rest of this Cowboys team, stick and forking them, man, they're done.
Yeah. I called Micah Parsons as defensive rookie of the year before the season started, and he is living up to that. Okay, final game. Give me – this is going to probably be the quickest one of all of them. This Saints versus Bills game. Buffalo looked like them old selves, going out there beating up on these boys. What's this, 31-6? Of course, we know the Saints are in shambles right now. Defensively, the defense can only do so much, especially if your offenses aren't doing their part. There's one thing I always say is the offense has to help the defense by getting on the field, keeping the ball as long as possible, and scoring. And the defense needs to help the offense by getting the other team off the field quickly so the offense can continue to eat clock. Time of possession is big for me. I think that's if you control the game by time of possession, it means your defense is doing its job and your offense is doing its job. Even if you're getting just field goals, defense get them off, offense is back. All right. What the hell? The Saints just are bad. And so I got this question for you both. They decided to give Taysom Hill another contract. So another restructure. Ross, riddle me this, Batman. Why are they paying Taysom Hill? Like, why does he keep coming up in the news for contracts?
It's because they don't know what the hell they're doing. I think I legitimately don't have another answer. They don't use him. He was used a lot more last season. He's not been used in like as many of the trick plays this year. He's not being used as a backup. Like going before the season, Jameis Winston was and should have been and is the starting quarterback of this team, and he's the future for them at this position. And you could see clearly how much they're hurting without Jameis Winston. I was high on him. Alex, two of my co-hosts, we were both high on him, and we thought that this quarterback, quote unquote, competition should have never been close in the first place. And I mean, that's what happens when you have Trevor frickin' Siemian throwing the football and you don't have Alvin Kamara and you don't have Michael Thomas. It's no surprise that they got blown to the Bills like this. But if you're paying Taysom Hill all this money, why is Trevor Siemian in the game and not Taysom Hill? Come on.
Thank you. Luis, what's happening here? Talk to me.
It's funny because my co-host is the Saints fan, actually. And we actually talked about this a little while ago. And he's still a little bit like, I don't really get it. I don't know. He needs to get out there for like every snap. I don't know what they need to do. He needs to start punt returning, kick returning. He needs to go start lining up in DB. Like, he better go get this money's worth or something, because you're really going to pay him all that money to basically wear that headset all game? What's going on? You don't have Thomas. God knows if he's even going to come back next year with everything that's going on. He had his surgery. Who knows if he wants to be there. Alvin Kamara's been banged up. I know he's killing people right now in fantasy. And then Ingram, they went and snagged him, and now he's banged up. Like, they don't have nobody right now. The offense literally has nothing. I don't know how they beat Brady and the Bucks a few weeks ago, but bro, this team is in this. True. This team right now is in shambles. When a few weeks ago it was like, oh wow, this is a Super Bowl defense. Like, watch out for the Saints, and it's like, well, where did that go?
It's hard to put the blame on them too.
Right,
all of it,
and that's my take. Is you can't really blame the defense as much when they're doing everything. Like, they're basically the Georgia Bulldogs against actual professionals. You can't expect a defense to do everything. The offense has to participate at this level because we're already at the top 1% of our collegiate guys. And yeah, the Taysom Hill thing is interesting to me because they desperately want him to be something, but he's like 30 years old. At this point, you got to understand that he's not going to be an NFL starting quarterback. He's not. That's not who he is. If he was, he would have been a starting quarterback in his mid-20s when he came off his multiple ACL tears coming out of BYU. And then when the main quarterback gets hurt, they went to Teddy Bridgewater. What was that? Last year, 2 years ago. And then last year they went to a little bit of Jameis. And then this year, they made Jameis the starter. And now they go to Trevor Siemian. And just like you said, Ross, Trevor Siemian is the starting quarterback of this team. Even though I know that Taysom is coming off of, a concussion a few weeks back, Trevor Siemian is your starting quarterback. That tells me everything I need to know about how everything's running. But overall, they're bad. But so back to that game, the Bills showed us who they're supposed to be. But Ross, you said this in pre-production, which is like the perfect example. They're the Jekyll and Hyde right now. The
definition.
To be honest, the top 5 teams in the NFL are the Jekyll and Hyde of the NFL,
and they're all in the AFC, like, right? Pretty much.
Yes. They seem like everybody that gets to the top takes that L and falls back down. It's like, does anybody want to be the best team in the NFL? Does anybody want this? It seems like nobody truly wants it, and it's disturbing in all capacities that this is what we're dealing with, that we don't know who the best is. So will the Bills be able to get it together and win their division?
Man, we talked about this last week, and the thing with the Bills is that I don't know what to say. I literally don't know what to think about them, because every AFC team this year has been the AFC has been a dream to watch as a fan of the sport, because everything's up for grabs at this point. Everything is, and that's exciting.
Yep.
But as an analyst, we have the hardest job in the world right now trying to make up what's going on with these AFC teams, whether it be the Titans, the Bills, guys, you can throw the Colts into the mix, the Patriots now, the Chiefs. I don't know what to think about this Bills team, because the things they write on is they have one of the best defenses in the league, but then they went up and gave up 5 touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor. They have one of the best offenses in the league, but then they put up 6 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh my God! Josh Allen got beat up by Josh Allen. It was so
a fumble, an interception,
beautiful.
and a sack.
What's funny is you got the full Josh Allen experience in that game, and I love when I get the full experience. Win or lose, I love the full Josh Allen experience. It's one of those where he goes out there, he'll fumble the ball, he'll drop back, and he'll get hit. Because there's a rule of thumb when it comes to the NFL now. They're starting to realize, besides the numbers changed this year, in years past, you don't send a guy after him that wears anything less than 50. If this under 50, you don't send him after Josh Allen, because he's not going to go down. You can't tackle him. But the best part is that he'll break so many tackles, he'll lose like 20 yards and get sacked. But then he'll go out there and throw dimes to Stephon Diggs or Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders randomly.
Emmanuel Sanders,
you get that full experience of
back-to-back
excitement.
seasons, the most underrated free agent.
Yeah, just a good point. I mean, Manny's old, but he still has
he's a great wide receiver 3.
Yeah. That's a good point. He is a good
starter.
3. So yeah, that's what you get, that full experience in and out, and it's so great to enjoy. And God, he went out there and just dominated it. That's basically it. So I'm concerned. So Luis, I want to get your take on it. Do you think the Bills can win their division? Because the Patriots right now, it's only a game behind them. And it looks like they may actually come back and take that
Patriots
bad boy.
have 2 games
take
against
the reins from the Bills.
Still have 2 games.
Yep, and they still got 2 games against each other. There's a good chance that if both went out, they face each other, there's a good chance that the Patriots might take it from them. What you think, Luis? You think they're going to be able to keep this division?
So as a Pats fan, this is going to be the hardest next 4 to 5 weeks of my life. I believe we have Tennessee, Buffalo, then a bye finally, so we can regroup and get ourselves together. Followed by, I believe it is Indiana and then Buffalo. So it is just a stretch right now of playoff team, and it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way. I think we wrap up with Miami and then Jacksonville, or Jacksonville then Miami.
Flip flop.
But right now,
but you're right. You
right now,
you got a cake.
The ending is going to be easy, but we have those prime 2 matchups, and luckily for us, our defense right now is one of the red hot defenses.
Fire.
And Josh Allen has 7 interceptions in his last 4 games. So he has been getting the ball over, and like you said, the Josh Allen experience. 4 touchdowns on Thursday, lit it up, went crazy. Also had 2 picks though. So his turnovers are getting.
I love it.
It is an issue. His turnovers are starting to get back up there a little bit. So we got to try to force him to get some turnovers over these last few weeks. And like you said, Jacqueline Hyde, this team's shown that it can go out and win by 40. And then it can show that it can put up no points and it can just get bullied by everybody. They got moved around by Tennessee. The Colts made them look like children. It looked like it was a JV versus varsity practice. I couldn't believe the way Buffalo just was manhandled that game. It doesn't make any sense to me still. They're beating up on bad teams and they're struggling against some of the good teams. So they're in a tough position, and I think Bill's going to be ready for those next 2 weeks.
Let me give a stat real quick. And for all you Bills fans listening, do me a favor, plug your ears, because the fewest wins versus teams of currently 500 or better, Bills won. They're right up there, and they're in the same conversation as the Texans, as the Jags, as the Falcons. That's not a good team.
That one
Oh,
against
so what you're
Kansas
telling
City,
me is
huh?
the Bills are beating up on nobodies.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh gosh, that's not good, Buffalo.
That's not a playoff
Yeah, 'cause
team.
Yeah. The only real playoff team they beat was the Chiefs, and that's when the Chiefs were being
And
abysmal.
they're bad.
Chiefs or Jets, couldn't tell
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know which was which. You're right. It was like it was the it's the what is that, the Scooby Doo meme,
Yeah.
taking the mask off and come to find out from the Chiefs and come to find out it's the Jets the whole time. Like, oh
Yeah. First
yeah, you thought it was the
sleepwalking.
Chiefs, but it's really the Jets. But now they're getting back.
Well, Mike
so-
White had better games than Patrick Mahomes this year.
Mike
Mike
White.
White,
What
the
a
good
2
story.
week
Mike White.
experience. Hell yeah.
no clue who he was. And then Josh Johnson goes out there and throws for 400 yards like the next week.
XFL
nice ball.
legend
Which is a
Josh
nice
Johnson
ball.
of the LA Wildcats. Put some respect on spring football.
I will put a lot of respect on the spring football. I hope it comes back. So.